The Mongols prepare their invasion of Europe. However, the Bulgarians will stand in their way and gatekeep the fertile lands of Europe. Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Medieval Kingdoms 1212 online battle. Today, as I said, we are fighting a battle kind of to try and represent the engagements between the Mongols and the Bulgarian kingdom. So it should be hopefully a very exciting one, seeing a lot of cavalry maneuvering around the battlefield, trying to find gaps in the battle line. This battle itself is loosely based on the Battle of Samara Bend, which I tried to look up and find out a little bit more about it. However, it didn't really seem to have a ton. There was just a lot about the several battles that the Bulgarians fought against the Mongols in this time period. I think it was between 1223 and 1227. They fought like an absolute buttload of battles, and I guess this was kind of maybe one of the minor ones that the engagement happened. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe this was like a pretty important battle. If so, do let me know in the comments down below. I'd be more than happy to read up a little bit more about this engagement, as I couldn't really seem to find that much, but maybe I'm just not looking in the right places. Also guys, if you are enjoying these custom battles that are based on these historical engagements, then be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. It lets me know that you guys are really enjoying this, and it also lets the guys know who are playing these battles that you want them to keep on doing it. Also, look how sick this unit is. Look at their weapons. They're absolutely awesome. There's some really cool infantry. These are the fire lancers, and I mean, you'll see what they'll do later on in the battle. So this is the Mongol side of things. You can see they are bringing a pretty hefty army to bear. 8,600 men in this engagement, with a ton of heavy infantry and obviously brutal cavalry. Standing in their way is going to be the Bulgarians, and they actually have some Naphtune throwers and I think fire lancers of their own. Yeah, they have some Naphtune throwers right here, so it's going to be pretty deadly when they get them bad boys going, that's for sure. And obviously some heavy infantry and other pretty strong stuff at their disposal. And once again, they also have some pretty heavy cavalry, and I think that's going to be one of the really interesting things about this battle, is both sides have decent cavalry, and they both kind of rely on archer fire to make that cavalry, you know, as effective as it is in the engagement, because they all kind of fire a couple volleys as they go further forward, and then just as they get closer, they pull out their lancers and stick them down and collide into the enemy. So, you know, both sides really relying on that preemptive skirmish to make their cavalry that a little bit more effective. And you can go and see on this side as well, you've got some more heavy horses, and I love the lancers as well on these horses. They're just really cool. So I can't wait to see what they can really do in the battle. They also have some pretty good axemen as well. These guys are pretty deadly. I love the mini shields on their arms. Kind of adds a nice little bit of flavour. And it's really awesome. Like recently, the 1212 team have been going back and forth, adding in the really cool kind of updates for a bunch of the maybe lesser played, not so much lesser played, but more of the minor, I say minor factions. They're not really minor factions. They've just basically been going in and adding in, you know, more assets and interesting setups for certain factions, which kind of really just brings them alive and makes them feel a lot different. You know, you want England to feel different to France, you want France to feel different from the Holy Roman Emperor, you want Serbia to feel different to Bulgaria. You know, they're kind of really going back in and adding in interesting units. I also saw some Scottish units not so long ago on, I think they actually posted it on my Discord, which will be really cool. Some like great swords, Scottish great swords. It's going to be sick to see them get stuck in. So for now, both sides are just feeling one another out, kind of firing off a few volleys. You can see that volley going off. You can't really see it now because the sun is covering, but that's a decent range that they have. That's a really good range that these horse archers have. And they're going to be firing in on these very lightly armored infantry. Are these supposed to be like prisoners or priests or something? Correct. I don't know what like this is supposed to be, because they obviously don't have a sword or anything. So is this supposed to be like prisoners that they've kind of thrown on their front line, or are these like holy men holding the line, or what? Let me know in the comments what this unit is supposed to represent, because yeah, I would imagine it'd be like the prisoners that they kind of force out on the front lines first to absorb some ammunition, or maybe it's like a priest unit or something. But either way, they've got a handful of them units as the sacrificial lamb to absorb a few ammunition shots, and also to like disrupt the front line. Because if you can disrupt your opponent's front line and make them engage you at all different angles and positions, it can be really, really effective, and you can basically win the battle off of that because you can envelop and surround units very effectively. So on the left flank, you can see that I really like this maneuver as well, and I think a lot more players need to start integrating more of this kind of Alexander-style tactic into their formation. Cavalry is king in Medieval Kingdoms 1212, so you really need to try and you need to give yourself as many advantages as possible in the cavalry fight, because if you win it, you tend to win the battle unless things went catastrophically wrong in the center. So I love seeing when players kind of, try and come up with interesting tactics. And over here, they've gone ahead and added in some light infantry just to give their cavalry that little bit more oomph and support when they do engage in the cavalry fight. So kind of a very Alexandrian tactic. I mean, it'd probably be better if these were spears, but I'm sure that's fine. They also have some cavalry hidden in the woods as well, which I don't think will catch the Mongolians off guard, but definitely something to keep into your field of vision there on the map. And these archers are just harassing the horses, pushing them back with some arrow fire. Not many of them finding their mark. I don't think there's any dead horses out here. But either way, they're still causing some issues. Over on this flank, though, holy crap, yeah, the Bulgarians are advancing heavily. Sorry, the Mongols are advancing heavily with their super elite infantry. Look at these bad boys. They are not to be messed with. These must be like the Khan's Guard or something, because they look really, really good. And they're just advancing onto the Bulgarian formation, and they're using these slaves really effectively. I keep on calling them slaves. I honestly don't know what they are, but they're using this really low-tier infantry unit just to rush forward and cause some, issue, because not only is it stopping these archers from shooting, it's pushing them back and, yeah, disrupting the battle line. So using like a light spread of infantry in these battles is always so good. It's something that the Rise of Mordor players use a lot, even though they're generally normally the same players playing in both battles. But they do that a lot when they're playing like the Orcs and Goblins, and it's always so great to see just doing any these cheap 100 gold units of Orcs just being thrown forward. No one cares if they die, but they basically cause so much disruption. They make the players have to micro, and it's just a really interesting way of doing it. But it seems like the Mongols are now in a full-on assault. We have some heavy axemen on the right-hand side, though, and they are going to be charged into the front lines of the Mongols, who are in a very nice formation. These guys are called the siege levies. Who's to say the Mongols aren't going to be deadly in a siege with these bad boys at their disposal? So the front lines have now engaged, or at least on the right flank, the front lines have engaged. And we're getting a big engagement over here on the Bulgarian left. You can see that both sides are forming up. The archers are coming up. I'm actually going to get a massive axe charge running through the spear line, looking to try and catch the Mongols off guard, breaking up their formation and pushing forward. This is a really interesting move, and I love all the maneuvering we can see in the distance. That's one of my favorite things in Total War, is just looking off into the distance and just seeing a ton of shit going on, because I think it just looks so cool. It gives you the feel of a grand battle, and yeah, you can definitely see that as infantry lines do clash along with the cavalry. Over on the other side, you can see that both lines are getting closer to engaging, and they actually have, in fact, the entire front line has now clashed. This is just going to be an all-out brawl. Both sides committing everything they've got, and it's going to be last man standing. I think it's really going to come down who can get their cavalry through these battle lines quickly. Oh, we have the fire lancers as well. Yeah, the Mongolian fire lancers shooting off some of their shots, ripping through this poor unit of spearmen who has their flank completely exposed, and these fire lancers are going to have the time of their life. They could also, quite quickly focus down this cavalry as well. And this is also one of the really nice things about the cavalry for like the Mongols and the Bulgarians and kind of more of that Eastern European style of combat, is that, even when they're not, rear charging or smashing into infantry, they can still be really useful by just shooting their bows. And that's definitely something that maybe the European cavalry is definitely going to struggle with, In these big battles where there's not a lot of room to maneuver, it's going to be very hard for them to... Oh my god, that was brutal. The Nafatum throwers coming in. But the Nafatum throwers actually doing more damage to their own unit and breaking it. And this is going to open up a complete position for cavalry just to pour through. If they wanted to, they could do exactly that. The right flank, though, is proving just the same, though, with huge gaps. And the cavalry is going to quite quickly move in. The Mongolians proving their horsemanship here, finding the rear charges and diving into the back of this axe unit. And that's going to absolutely flatten it. and cut it down very, very quickly. I can't imagine it really sticking around for much longer. The rest of the cavalry is going to go in. I guess the Bulgarians just really lost this cavalry engagement, and the Mongolians are going to come flying in with so much horse that they have at their disposal. They can quite easily come around the side and wrap in, but whilst that is happening, we do have some heavy Bulgarian horses charging in against the Mongolian fire lancers, and this is a great charge. That was really important that charge went off. However, they are immediately going to be charged by the Mongolian horse archers and tied down into combat. But yeah, taking out the fire lancers is going to be very good. They have racked up only 36 kills. I think they've racked up a few more. This entire right flank, though, is just an absolute mess. What the hell happened to the Bulgarian front line? It's being completely overrun by the Mongolian heavy infantry. What tier are these guys? These are 14th century. And they're going up against 14th century infantry, so it's not like they completely outclassed them, but they really have here. You can see the Nafatoon throwers retreating back as cavalry tries and makes a rear exit for these Nafatoon throwers, but they're going to get caught by the looks of it as the infantry continues to charge them down, and that's really, really unfortunate. They need to try and keep these Nafatoon throwers alive. The balance of power is still fairly even, but slowly starting to shift in favor of the Mongolians. The Mongolians have lost more men, though, in this battle, but it seems like they maybe just have a bit more quality left, and now this entire flank is just an absolute mess. Holy crap. The Mongolians are trying to break through and envelop the Bulgarian left-hand side, but they do have a heavy line of archers which are doing pretty good work. But as you can see in the distance, the Bulgarians' worst nightmare as the Mongolians do advance round. That is so much cavalry soon to be directly into the back of these archers. I think the archers are going to turn and try and do as much damage to them as possible. But now you can start to see the entire Mongolian flank doing what they do best with their horsemanship. I mean, what do you expect the Mongolians coming in? I love the armor as well. So nice. Yeah, I don't think there's a single Total War mod out there, old or present, that really reaches to this many cultures with this many good assets. Like, I think even if you go back to Medieval 2, I don't think even Medieval 2, comes, like, even Medieval 2 mods come close to the amount of, like, how different every culture, even every subculture is in this mod. There's literally, like, 80 factions, and they all feel very unique. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, they're going to come all the way around. They've engaged the Bulgarian line, the archer line, and that's going to rip through them. We do actually have the Bulgarian cavalry, though, being committed to the battle. This is like the Bulgarians, right? Because it doesn't look like their flag, and they're kind of using more Eastern style units. I don't know. Hopefully, it did say in the replay that this is, yeah, a Bulgarian faction. So hopefully, I'm not completely messing that up. Because they do look a little bit more Eastern, but I guess that's just maybe the Cuman kind of influence in on them. But yeah, my god. I mean, I say my god, the Bulgarians have completely retaken back this flank. Somehow, they were completely demolishing. They were getting completely demolished by the Mongolians, but they have just rallied whilst we were looking over on the other flank, and they've managed to repel their forces. I guess the Mongolians pushed too far, and now the cavalry is going to be pursuing them, looking to maybe charge down on these handgunners. They do look very, very nice as well. Super heavily armoured, but they're about to get rear charged and wiped off of this planet. We do have the Mongolian cavalry coming in, trying to, slow them up and protect their gunners, but I think, they're going to even get beaten down pretty heavily. We do actually have the elite general unit for the Mongolians, though, moving around this left flank. Probably going to try and look into kind of clean up that cavalry that was engaging their handgunners and also move on elsewhere. We do actually have a pretty big charge coming off here by the heavy lancers. But now that lancer charge has finished, you can see a few horses going down. I imagine the Khan's bodyguard will be doing a very nice job at slaughtering these guys. I still can't believe how that battle went down. Yeah, you can see the Mongolians have completely smashed them on the right flank, but I honestly thought it was going to be a complete rout on the left flank, but it really wasn't. Take an overview of the battlefield so you guys can get a good idea of what's going on basically at every position. You can see you do have Mongolian horses just racking up the kills on the archers. More infantry is now coming in to support. They are taking heavy casualties though along the battle line. Some Nafatun throwers are being broken by the fire lancers, which is very nice. You can see that the general for the Mongolians is falling back, and he's under hot pursuit by the heavy cavalry of Bulgaria, but they are going to be tied down by some infantry. Very, very nice indeed. And I love the horn. Wow, that's awesome. Definitely, they should definitely add in more battle horns and stuff like that to the ambient sound. I think that'd be really, really cool. Nice position here by the handgunners, able to help out at this point in the battle where it's just so disorganized and a mess. Having a handgunner unit in a good position like this is very, very valuable. But it seems like the Bulgarians are kind of winning this cavalry off right now. There's just a lot of other horses. The Mongolian horses are kind of elsewhere right now. Whereas they really need to be engaged in this battle, helping to win that cavalry engagement as more and more soldiers move over. You can see they've even fallen back over here, trying to use as many arrows as they can to soften up the oncoming assault. There's really not a lot left, though, on any side. You can see a balance of power has now shifted in favour of the Bulgarians, and numbers-wise, they've completely brought it back. They almost have a 1,000-man difference. That's like closing in on that very, very quickly. But it seems like it's mainly just archers they have at their disposal. Archers and heavy knights. I guess that's all you need. There's like a lot of archers back here. But if the cavalry can get onto it, which is trying its best to do, then I think Mongolians will be able to bring it back. But I just don't think they have enough men and horses at this point. Especially now that their center is starting to break. Most of the difference is all in these archers. And, the Bulgarians are losing horses, but just not quick enough. And the archers are just able to kind of be protected by the knights and the rogue, couple units of spearmen. The swordsmen are going to come in over here on this other flank, but get smashed by Nafatun throwers before they can close the distance. And whilst that's happening, I think they're also about to get rear charged by that unit of heavy lancers. The Bulgarian lancer unit looks amazing as well. Like, these lancers with like the hook pike on the end, really nice. And yeah, they're just pushing up. They're taking out these horses. They've engaged the rest of the Khan's cavalry. And I think that's going to be all she wrote for the Mongolian invasion. They've managed to repel them and keep Europe safe. Yeah, we're just going to come around now and finish off. We have a last couple probably cavalry charges that we can watch. They're going to kind of volley in their arrow shots. Just rip into them with their horses. I mean, that's like one of the that's what's going to be really interesting in the campaign and in like head-to-heads and stuff. Because obviously the European knights are going to be extremely heavily armoured, and just impick that massive shock. But if you can play well enough on a more eastern kind of cavalry archer focused faction, you can whittle down their horses whilst doing skirmishing and then engage them when they're a little bit weaker. Or pin them down with infantry and then, swamp them with heavier melee cavalry. It's just a very interesting way of playing. But yeah, the last couple units are going to get rear charged now and break and flee this battle. You can see so many soldiers are routing. That was really, really awesome, though. I love these kind of heavy engagements where there's a lot of cavalry, because it kind of adds a lot more maneuvering. Because, a lot of the time the players have to stretch the entire battlefield, which can get a bit boring now and again. It's always great to see when there's unique rules or like a lot of cavalry, so you can see that maneuvering. And I think that battle was very exciting, even regardless of it being just kind of one long line. I feel like, especially when we've got like more of a historical battle to it as well, it kind of adds a bit more flavor. So yeah, it was the Volga of Bulgaria. Okay, good. I was just making sure I wasn't messing it up and saying a completely different faction. But yeah, as you can see, look at the kills on the cavalry. Holy crap, 300 on a lot of these, these heavy horses. Or they're only mid-tier apparently, but they look very deadly. Over on the other side again as well, 260 kills on this one, which is pretty impressive, and 200 kills on the general. Over on the Mongolian side of things, all their horse archers getting a decent amount of kills. I think the fire lancers definitely would have got more kills. It's just that they don't count burning kills in Attila. pillar for some reason. And then finally, again, all the cavalry getting demolished over here. I wonder what happened that kind of outclassed them so much, because I think they're going to be fairly similar. Their infantry doing very good, though. 127 kills on that one, 105 on this one. So pretty nice in the infantry department for the Golden Horde. So hopefully you guys enjoy this battle. If you want to see more engagements like this, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification so you always get notified whenever I post a video, and I will see you guys in the next one.